Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And the second video of the day, Normal Battle 2 for Heroes Jubilee for the Spirit Master meta. This is a space-focused stage, and again, we have the max score, so we will have that in a number of other teams. One of them is not fun, but it is what it is. Disclaimers. Number one, your results are going to vary. Do the stage, use what you got, get out of there. Don't spend a lot of time unless you're actually trying to max it out or something. But, I'm going to use units that you may or may not have, and you just going to have to team build and use what you have available. Disclaimer number two is these are the protection gauge characters, and these are the skill point characters that I use. And disclaimer number three is don't forget to go into your town of Tempest and optimize your space building, so whoever you're nuking with space can do damage. But the stage overview is that this is another AoE focused fight, and space nuking characters, we have a few, and we also don't have a few. So you could really take your pick. But these ants, they don't really do much. They don't do any attack buffs or anything, but they do poison you. So if you're trying to go for a max score, you have to somehow get around that poison. Whether it be Lord's Ambition from Octagram Demon Lord Guy, or you do poison dodge with the 4-star Gobta, but they don't have any other attack buffs, so they don't really hit that hard. It's just that if you take poison damage, you're not getting the max score. And then the starting hand is built around green orbs, which you can definitely work with. But let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, the max score team for Normal Battle 2 looks like this. We are using a Warrior's Mind 2.0 team because we are going to nuke with Physical Space OG Masked Hero. She's got the rewind, she's got the crit buff, she's physical, which means that she will be able to partake in the massive physical debuff that Sheena is giving. So we brought Blanc, we brought Violet, we've brought 4-star Gobta so we can dodge the poison. And then we brought the Gobwa for her debuffs as well, and the Pierce down and everything. So the hero with the EX ult and everything, with the EX upgrade, is very capable of doing that. If she's not EX unbound and she has a normal ult, I don't know if she's going to hit it. You can certainly try, though, and just have a team that can get it done. Or you could use one of the other teams I'm going to show. And for the most part, it's a fairly simple team. We are starting with 36 skill points, so we are using one of the skill point units to get us to 36. We've made sure that the 2 primal demons are in the first 2 slots. That way we can change and get the full 6 hand with just the 2 greens and then the rainbows. We'll bring the masked hero in. We'll bring Gobwa in. We do want Gobta up front, and as long as you can, again, just tank hits for 1 damage, then you're going to be looking good in terms of your max score. If you take more than that, or if they pierce you, or they aegis you or something, then your max score run's done. But Gobta is very important because of his poison dodge ability. We just have to make sure that whoever's up front when we use it are the characters that we actually do want up front. So let's put the debuffs on, and let's rewind. We don't have the ult rush from like the new hero does, but it does give us extra protection gauge, which will help us cycle Shuna again. And then we'll bring Violet in, we'll do the stacks of control, so we can enhance the debuffs and give the hero a little bit extra weakness strike. It'll just help her damage out. And then we'll bring Blanc in, use the orange buff, the 40 skill points, which will then allow us to use the poison dodge ability, and then we can use Shuna. And then we'll have a whole hand of buffed up oranges and a couple rainbows, while having poison dodge with the control stacks, with the dread stacks. Do have to kind of make sure you're spreading the damage out, though. I don't want to kill everybody on this turn, so we sent 6 here. We're not going to send 6 on the next rewind hand, because we would probably kill that ant again if we were to do it the same way. But with this, as long as you can get a decent orb RNG for the hero, you're guaranteed her EX ult. So we're going to leave her up front, though. Normally we would take a character out and use a buff and leave her in the back. Not actually what we're going to do here. We're going to have enough power with everything said and done to have the hero nuke and hit the damage cap without having to save a buff and send her away. So there's the poison dodging. We're taking 1 damage still across the board. Excellent. Weakness strike kicks in. So that's an extra 90% weakness strike. That's pretty good. And then we can go ahead and nuke. So we'll bring Goblet in for Gobta. And then we'll use the big time buff from Blanc. we will use the orange buff and the Gobwa debuff, the Pierce buff, and then with the Blanc extra 40 points, that will give us just enough points to use the hero buff now. So we're going to have the crit resistance down being enhanced with the dread and the control stacks as well. So 40% is going to be more like 60 or 70%. I don't know, I don't check it, but let's go ahead and send all this. And the hero does 2.7 and then 6.1 against the character with all the debuffs from Gobwa. So that one alone would have got us damage cap. We could have killed the other two, and that would have been just fine. So we do 12 million damage there within 3 turns, and we only took 6 hits at 1 damage apiece. So that is the max score team for Normal Battle 2. Alright, the next team is again going to use the masked hero to nuke, but a slightly different team setup. We're going to run Protector Himmel now. Still Gobta for the poison dodge, Raphael, Blanc, Diablo to help buff the hero. And this team can also hit damage cap. If you get lucky, you can you can get the max score with this team if you get lucky. I think in this run I do take some damage either from an Aegis or a Pierce, one of the two. But if I hadn't, then we'd hit damage cap and we do it in 3 turns. So we're still going to be looking fairly good. It's just that turn 1, we can use Diablo's green buff to at least give us a few extra points, and we can use the stack of Raphael. So we're getting extra ult damage and extra synergy power on top of that. So we'll bring the hero in, cool. We'll bring Diablo in for Blanc, okay. Let's use the green buff now. And then on turn 2, we can rewind, and then that will hopefully help us. And with the green buff, with the buffed greens and a protection traits, we'll get access to Himmel turn 2. So 1 damage there, okay, cool. And 1 damage there, and I think this one, nope, okay, that's still 1 damage. But yep, here's the traits kicking in. We have 3 orbs for the hero, which is pretty good. So let's use the rewind and another stack of Raphael. And we have 3 oranges. That's probably the most important thing, is that you can actually get a full 6-hand of Himmel. So we'll bring Blanc in for Diablo, since we don't need him right now. Use the orange buff. This will pretty much guarantee that we're going to get the EX ult for this turn. And then once Blanc's skill is used, bring Gobta in, use the poison dodge, use Himmel, get the full 6, send the orbs, and then you'll be looking pretty good so far. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, sending it all on 1. And then we can rewind. And if you somehow did not get the EX ult this turn, you got it this... or on that turn, you get it on the rewind. And because we've already swapped both the characters out, we can't really put the hero anywhere. And we also can't get a full 6-hand here. So we're just going to send some orbs. So turn 3 kicks over. Poison dodge. Excellent. 1 damage there. 1 damage there. And 1 damage there. Perfect. So, let's go ahead and prep to nuke right here. Yeah, 200 points. So, buff, and then we can do one more thing. I actually think we got to turn 4 here. I don't think, yeah, we don't have enough points to do anything else. But let's take Blanc out, yeah. So we're going to go to turn 4. Not quite the best run, but again, as long as you can hit the damage cap, that's the most important thing. So we'll use Himmel, make back the points that we used already. We could have also used the Blanc buff early. You could have used any of the buffs, right? Because you can hold the Dark, you could hold the Synergy, you could hold the Blanc buff. Since we don't need the Dark Resistance debuff for the hero, you could use any of them. But this will give us enough points, and then we'll take a hit there, and we'll take a hit here, and there's the Aegis on 2 characters, I think Aegis and Pierce. So that cut into our damage taken score. But now we got 255 points, which means we have plenty of skill points to go around. So 1 and 2, we can use the hero crit buff now, and call it good. So hero, come in. We've used everything. I mean, we could possibly use another stack of Raphael as well, if you had the points for it. But here we don't. So maybe you skipped on using Raphael on a different turn. You could maybe use him here instead, depending on what you have. But there you go. Let's just go ahead and nuke with the hero, because I don't want to send any other orbs, and we'll click the other ones. But here the hero does 1.9, 1.6, because he has crit resistance, but that's definitely enough for the damage cap. So let's take a look at the score, and we took 95 points in damage, max score, and max turn bonus. So you can still go a couple extra turns and still get it done. It's just that, did we take an Aegis or a Pierce hit? So a potential max score team as well. All right, the next team is going to be I wouldn't say budget team, but it's definitely older units, and it's not tippity top tier ones. Velzard, still very good protector. Octogram Lumi is here. Kyokyo and Isis, EX unbound characters, but you can get them off the tickets potentially, maybe. We're bringing free-to-play Veldora, so I mean that should tell you something. We're bringing a free-to-play character instead of just wanked out supports that are EX unbounds. And then we're going to nuke with our most recent actual damage-dealing space AoE nuking character, Exalted Champion Guy. So he'll work, he can rush his own ult, he can give himself the synergy buff. We have a lot of cheap buffs on this team, which makes it fairly easy to operate. It's just that you're not going to get more than like one stack of Lumi on each of her skills, if you even can stack with her, because if she's not skill fused, you're not really benefiting from a lot of those. But again, it's a fairly budget-ish team. Guy is over a year old at this point. Lumi, is free. Kyokyo and Isis are 6 months old, and you can, again, get them from free tickets. Veldora, you can't get him out of the beatdown shop. Okay, I forgot to vet this one. Okay, anyways, I just had to fast forward a little bit. But you can't get him out of the beatdown shop, but if you do have him, then that's great, because he can orb change and do the green buff with him. And if you don't have him, you can bring a different green orb changer and maybe swap out one of the supports for Divine General Diablo, and you'll still accomplish roughly the same thing. You just won't use Guy's own personal synergy buff. Or maybe you will. Depends on how many points you have access to. But we intentionally left Veldora and Guy in slot 1 and 2 so we could get that full hand of green orbs. And then we'll go ahead and send this. This is not a max score team, so we are going to take damage. We are going to take the poison. And if we take an Aegis or a Pierce, then whatever. As long as we can hit the damage cap in a decent amount of turns, that is what's most important at this point now. So 2 orbs for Guy, it's not great, but we can ult rush, and we can use the vitalization from Kyokyo. And that'll give us an extra 25% ult gauge at the end of the turn if we needed it, which I don't think we actually do. Because I think we can actually get the EX ult here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. Perfect. That is the Guy EX ult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then on turn 3, we can either nuke if we have the points, or you could push to turn 4 if you're not feeling that confident. But either way, we have the EX ult, which is one of the most important things. So we're taking some hits. Yeah, sure, fine. We have 168 points, which I believe is actually enough to use everything now. At least everything that we need to. We don't need to use the Drago effect from Isis, because we're already getting that from Velzard. So we're only going to use her debuff skill for the ult resistance down and the magic down. And then we'll use the Kyokyo weakness strike and magic buff, and then Guy's own synergy power. And that leaves us 43 points, which means that we can use 1 stack of each of Lumi's skills. Permanent ult damage and permanent AoE damage. A lot of these buffs are being enhanced by Velzard's Drago, which makes him that much more powerful. And then we could nuke. And I actually wasn't sure if Guy was gonna do enough damage here, but surprisingly, we do. So a few more orbs just to lower their HP a bit, and then Guy nuke, and he does 1.8 across the board, which is enough. It is enough to do what we need to do and hit that 5 million. It is like barely 5 million. No, it's a little bit more than that. But hey, that's still a fairly good score. We only lost 141 points on damage received, because we're still in max turn and we hit the damage cap. So, very possible team for people to use that is not dependent on Blanc and Himmel and Freerin and all that. And the final team is Divine General. We're making some substitutions here because I'm assuming that, if you summon for the rerun or you have them, you maybe don't have the hero and you don't have the space Blanc. So we're going to replace them with the free-to-play Vengeance Yom, because he is on Divine General, and he is an orb changer to greens. So that'll work. And then we're going to bring the old Visions of Coleus Light Blanc, because we do need an alt swapper. And we can make use of her skill, being Weakness Strike and the synergy down, because we are a synergy team because of Diablo here. It's just, running this team is not exactly fun. And this is even worse, because Blanc is not on Divine General. So if you want the most out of your orbs, you pretty much have to make sure Blanc is always in the back. You do what you need to do, and then she goes away for one of the other characters. But we'll single orb change, and we'll use the green buff, we'll bring Raphael in, we'll use the stack. I mean, if you are running this team, you know what you're having to do here. It's just that, can you get halfway decent orb RNG to actually make it work? And can you do it in 5 turns? The damage taken, obviously we're going to take damage. There's an Aegis already, so we're already not looking that good. Oh, double Aegis. Perfect. Excellent. Everybody loves that. But we get a decent hand. Because we have Yom, we can orb change a lot of orbs now. The only downside is that by not using Gazel's orb change, you are not getting as many skill points on the greens, because it's a permanent buff. And if you use Yom, you're not getting permanent buffs from his orb change. You'll still get buffed greens, which is great. It's just that you're not going to build up as quickly the skill points. But we are going to single target nuke with Raphael, so we can freely take out 2 of the ants, or 1 of the ants and leave another one at very low HP. Either way. Poison, yeah, we're going to take that. There's nothing we can do about it. We're not bringing a poison dodge character. Almesia does a lot, does not poison dodge. So, decent hand. We don't want to nuke too often here. I mean, I know Diablo doesn't do a lot of damage anyways, so we're going to get him out of here. And then we'll use Blanc, because it's going to change into blues. But we have Yom. So now we can use Almesia to reset, and then we could use Yom's orb change, which will change 2 of the blues. And that means we have to use Gazel twice. And we definitely have the points for that, alongside another couple of stacks of Raphael. So there's Yom's convert, there's 1 Gazel convert, let's do another one, and then another stack of Raphael, and that's pretty much all the points we have available. And this is what the Divine General team needed. It needed another orb changer, or Gazel to be a double orb changer. One of the things. I don't know. But we have the EX ult for Raphael, that's cool. We can pretty much put him in the back now. You could attempt to get more stacks with Raphael and leaving him up front, like that is something you could do, but details. Let's just go ahead and well, actually, then let's leave him up front still. So turn 4, let's do the ult swap. We're gonna send the Diablo ult. It will help Raphael because we'll get the permanent weakness strike buff, and it'll allow us to continue to send a full 6, but we don't have access to like the new Jean's special alt orb buff thing that would make it seem like we're sending 6 greens. I'm sure we'll get one eventually, but let's go ahead and send this. We're gonna kill that middle ant, probably with the ult, if not close, and then we can start working on another one. So yeah, the middle ant is gone. Cool. We only need 1 of them to really nuke. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now it's turn 5. We have enough points. We have the EX ult looking pretty good. We have 300 points. So that is enough to use 3 big time skills, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to use Diablo's buff now and send him away, because technically Gazel's ult is stronger than Diablo's. I say that, but Diablo would also have the dark buff, so maybe not. Either way, Raphael is going to do the damage cap with his ult by himself. So the only thing we need to worry about is actually killing the second ant. So we'll use the space and dark buff, we'll use the Diablo buff, and we'll use the Blanc buff, which is weakness strike and synergy resistance down. And then we'll send these orbs, and Raphael does 5.6, and Gazel does 627,000. It's enough to kill the ant, that's the most important thing. And that gives us a final score. I kind of blow past it, but that gives us 299, 440, still within the turn limit, still did over 5 million damage, and we took 556 points of damage here, so we're not quite perfect, but it is very, very close. So those are the 4 teams I have for you. Obviously, there are other teams you can use that use Space Nukers. If you used one of those teams that I didn't today, please put it down in the comments so other people can see that. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.